So recently I finished up a perfection in only 1 year run, and that leaves me with a pretty decent spot for starting a new challenge. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, click that little eye in the corner and add that playlist to your watch list. I wanted something long-term for a new challenge, and the decision was pretty easy. We are going to make $1 billion. And I know it's called gold, but I mix those two up all the time. The thing is, making $1 billion gold takes forever, pretty much no matter what you do. So we're going to spice things up a little bit by adding more challenges along the way. Think things like collecting all the hats, all the clothing, adding in mods for 1 week, or letting you all pick what we do. For today at least, we're just going to be making our farm a little more efficient and kind of setting ourselves up for success. And then next week we'll get into the actual challenges, so let's just get into it. This particular spring starts off really slow, I would say, and that's probably my own fault because I accepted this key crop quest, which is something I normally don't do, but I need the key gems to keep expanding, and I always forget how long this takes and how much energy it takes. So it slowed down my progress kind of a lot, but it wasn't really that big of a deal. We also wanted to upgrade some of our tools a little bit more, like our hoe and our watering can, specifically, as well as crack a bunch of geodes to get as many of those like key beans or whatever as possible. I don't know what it is today, but I am extremely tired. I got up early, ready to do stuff, and then I went back to bed for an hour and a half, and now I'm just the sleepiest I have ever been. It's crazy. But anyway, we're just gonna slowly plant all these key beans and expand them out. I didn't really plan on planting a full field in spring anyway, so it's not that big of a deal really. And then later on, in the summertime, we'll do a full field of starfruit, and that way we can get our wine production up. We already have a huge field of starfruit growing on Ginger Island, and we already have tons of kegs, as you probably already know. So we're set up pretty good, slowly converting our starfruit into ancient seeds to minimize the amount of replanting and work. But for now, for the next couple weeks or so, we'll still be messing with starfruit. We'll probably also have a few more dives into the skull caverns, not a ton, just because we just need a little bit of iridium, we need a little bit of gold, and a little bit of iron, just to make the last remaining sprinklers and crystallariums and stuff like that. And a lot of these dives won't be all that spectacular. This one in particular is pretty mediocre. We'll have around 700 iridium from it, and some decent things along the way. But because of the nature of this challenge, resetting days no longer is going to be necessary. It's kind of more of a long haul, just keep pushing forward kind of thing. We don't have a hard deadline anymore. Whereas with the 1 year thing, we obviously had a very hard deadline, and it required a lot more planning and a lot more meticulous action. So yeah, for right now we'll just cruise. I should have kept that hat, by the way, because the first challenge we're going to be doing is collecting all the hats. And I'm not sure on the exact specifics of how I'm going to do that yet, even though it's going to start up next week. And the main thing I don't know about is how I'm going to deal with the living hat, or if I want to spend all of my time up front grinding for the living hat. What I may do is just try and get every single hat except for that one, just so we don't get hung up on the first challenge for 6 months. You know what I mean? Because all that hat is just going to be farming fiber in the mines over and over again and resetting every day, even though I said I wouldn't reset, and just hoping to get it. And it could take hundreds of hours, theoretically. So I don't know if I'm ready to do that yet. Every other hat is going to take quite some time anyway, mostly because of how many achievements I have to get, how many things I have to tailor. There's all kinds of weird items needed for tailoring. There's a lot of achievements I don't have yet that are required to make hats. For example, doing all the like help wanted quests. I have to do 40 help wanted quests in order to unlock an achievement to buy a hat from that mouse back there. So there's a lot of little things I didn't realize before I picked that challenge, but I think it's still pretty doable in just a couple of weeks. So that'll be a short one to kind of get us started on some mini challenges as we make our way towards like $1 billion. And we are finally getting a horse, and we'll also move around a bunch of stuff on the farm, because right now like the furnaces are in a bad spot, the stable is in a bad spot, and we'll get all that fixed up later this week. And yeah, we're getting our gold watering can, and tomorrow or the next day, once we get that back, we'll upgrade our hoe as well. We're also relocating this entire forest. We're going to put it up north, just because we don't need access to this every single day, so there's no reason for it to be on the farm. And what we'll end up doing is keeping that mushroom tree and hoping to spread it out to get a bunch of mushroom trees, and that'll give us a chance at the mushroom hat. And that we'll get into that whenever, because right now it's not really a huge deal. But yeah, most of our time, like with this first setup week, ended up being taken up by the stupid key fruit. And I think I only need like 10 or 12 more, what are they called? The pressure nozzles that make your sprinklers spread further. And then we won't really have to worry about it anymore. I also decided to plant spring seeds for some reason. I don't know why I did this, but I just decided to. There's really no good reason to. I don't need them. I don't need to ship them. I don't need them for polyculture. I don't know. I just planted a bunch. So that's just what we're doing. And I am also stocking up quite a bit on deluxe speed grow. I'll need a lot of it for summertime because there's not like a good crossover crop for me to plant. So I'll have to like re-fertilize everything, retill a lot of stuff, and water. So I don't know. We'll see where that ends up. Eventually, like, you know, next year I will be able to basically just plant ancient fruit day one and kind of go from there. But we're not quite there yet. So while we kind of take care of some of this random stuff, I wanted to talk about like future challenges again. And the biggest one I think will be the most interesting is the ones that you all submit that I could do. And they could be short challenges, long challenges. What I would like to do ideally is get a bunch of ideas and then make a poll and see what everybody thinks would be, you know, the best idea for the next challenge. I know I want to do hats next, like I said, but after that I don't really care. I'll do pretty much anything. But the idea is like a challenge where we can keep moving forward with our main $1 billion goal, but also add in something in addition, you know. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of like other things we can do, collecting things, stacking challenges, like 1,000 of every item kind of thing. Just whatever, anything you might come up with, I would be into doing that. Or even just like, a week where I can't use this item, a week where I have to do this, or I have to build certain buildings. I don't know. Just kind of trying to keep this series a little more dynamic and less static than some of the other ones I've done. Because otherwise it'll be a lot of this, where I'm just like smelting bars and making wine and going to sleep. And that is not necessarily good viewing or good playing from pretty much any perspective. So that's what I'm looking for. If you want to comment any of those ideas, I would like to hear them. And I also just like comments in general, so if you don't want to give me an idea, I don't care, but you can just say what's up or what you like or don't like. And then I guess all the other typical YouTube stuff too, like liking the video and subscribing are nice as well. But comments are probably my favorite, because then you actually like get to engage with people watching the stuff, and it feels kind of nice. But for now, this is the worst thing I could have done to myself. These key fruit. And it's worth 100 gems, so I guess it's kind of worth it to do. But it is a very painful experience, because there's a lot of seed making, a lot of waiting, and a lot of crop space kind of just taken up. So I wouldn't recommend doing it if you're doing like key gem quests. The other ones are a lot easier and a lot faster. The only real benefit of this one is you can do a lot of other weekly key quests while you do this one. So it's ultimately not that bad, but it's not really, it's not the best. The only one that's worse, I would say, is like that cooking one. That cooking one is really awful. So, at least it wasn't that one. That's probably going to be next week. And then we got a big starfruit harvest today, which is cool. That'll give us hopefully enough starfruit to last for another wine cycle. I think at this point we're almost at 500 kegs. So we need a pretty fair amount of starfruit or ancient fruit to keep us like caught up when it comes to having stuff to actually keg. We'll have some rhubarb that we planted on the first, but that's not really worth a whole lot. So I'm not sure if I even want to bother with kegging that stuff. But for now, it takes around 2 minutes and 15 seconds or so to actually keg all of our wine. And that number will just keep growing and growing. So for the time being, I'm just going to skip showing it all. You can see it's all done, but oh, I missed 2 kegs. That's weird. But yeah, it's around 2 minutes every day of doing this, or every week of doing this, which isn't too bad. But it will eventually be like 10 minutes of kegging if I expand my kegs to, you know, the fullest extent. So we'll have pretty much a full day lost to kegs. And then over here, I'm planting a bunch of taro roots. And the reason I'm doing taro roots is because I need to grow them for next week for hats. Like you trade, I think like 30 taro roots for 3 different types of hats, so a total of 90. I could be wrong on those numbers, but I know we need a lot of them. So I need to start growing that stuff. I also need to grow 15 of every crop. So I'll probably start doing that pretty soon as well. And that's again just for the polyculture achievement, which will give me another hat. Which I wish I would have been doing that this whole time. Because I used to think that, polyculture was required for perfection. So it was something I would always do kind of along the way, but it turns out that's not true, so, you know, whatever. I wonder, I might have to change my professions back, because I don't really need money. I'll need like a couple dollars. Oh, his name's Ding Dong, because that's the name of my current like porch cat that I have. But that's the best name I could come up with. But anyway, I don't know what I was saying. Oh, I don't really need money. I can buy a return scepter. I'll need some seeds here and there. But otherwise, like, there's no reason for me to have artisan, and there's no reason for me to really sell wine at all. So I might switch back to the agriculturalist so I can grow starfruit faster and get an extra round of starfruit in the summertime. But I'm not entirely sure if I'll do that yet. It's only 10 grand, so it's probably worth doing. And then I'm probably going to turn my entire house into crystallariums and kegs, because I don't like decorating. For some reason, Haley put like a chair in that room, and that's the only decoration I've done so far, so it's not really worth it. I don't know what I'm doing now. But we're also almost done converting our greenhouse into like all ancient fruit. So that'll be kind of nice to get that started. We'll be able to seed make a ton of ancient fruit pretty soon and get our crop on Ginger Island turned into all ancient fruit. So it's a slow process, but within the next, probably by end of spring, we'll be looking pretty good as far as switching over to more long-term crops. I think that's kind of the track we're on currently. And by the end of maybe next week, we should be done with key fruit. It might be 2 weeks at this rate, just because it takes a while for them to double and double and double again. So yeah, that's where we're at. I don't know why I'm so tired. Oh goodness, I've been so tired today. It's like for 3 days I've been yawning and tired and like waking up late. I don't know what it is. I feel like I'm like jet lagged when I didn't even go anywhere, so I just can't figure out why. And here we are. I moved my horse. I moved some of the furnaces. They're still in a really bad spot. And I kind of regret putting all those trees there. But we need hardwood for a lot of stuff, so I don't know. They'll be chopped down pretty soon and it won't be that big of a deal. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I should build a shed. I don't have any sheds right now. So what I could do is build a shed and put all my furnaces in there, and then maybe another shed and put a bunch more kegs in there. It's not always the best use of space, just because there's so many other places you can put kegs. But it's something that I still might end up doing. I don't know, it's still kind of like, a lot of this is up in the air and a lot more casual than our normal runs. And yeah, I don't know. I'm also doing like a randomized perfection on Twitch. I don't know how frequently I'll do it. I might do it probably just on the weekends, just a couple times. But I don't even know if that'll be consistent. All the VODs will be up on Twitch. I need to put them on YouTube at some point, but I might have to make a separate YouTube channel for that. Just because it'll kind of clog up my feed if I put up a ton of VODs, so we'll see what happens there. And this is like another place that's nice to put kegs, just because it's unused. And like this is technically the most efficient layout for it, even though it takes forever to do. Especially like because I use a controller with one hand and a mouse sometimes with the other, and it is not the most elegant thing, as you can see by my weird like stutter stepping. It's kind of hard to map out, but that's my own problem. I shouldn't have done it, but I did. So, and yeah, that's where we're sitting right now. I'll still do the 2 a week. This one just got kind of pushed back on accident, which is probably good because I need to play more to catch up. And yeah, that's our situation right now. So let me know what you think, what you want me to do. The hats will probably take at least like 2 weeks of real life time to do. And then we can probably move on to something else. But we'll see. We'll just have to kind of play it by ear. And I'll see y'all next time.